WEF 2016 afternoon session. The session is on the proven powers of hope and faith, which will be given by two speakers. Ms. Samantha Bass is the lead speaker, and under the panel speaker, it's Ms. Caroline Scott from USA. Both are from USA. Ms. Samantha is speaking.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining us today. I'm so glad that you're here. The proven power of hope and faith. I consider myself to be a walking miracle. I was born and raised in Hartford, Connecticut, in a single-parent household, and I did my first fashion show when I was 7 years old. On that day, I told my mother that I was totally convinced that I was meant to be a model. So my mom went and she signed me at one of the local agencies back then. And it was in the late 70s, early 80s, and racism was still really high back then. I was only the only black model in my class at the time, and the other kids didn't really talk to me, and they just made me feel really isolated. So I didn't really understand that as a kid, because I'm a people person. I love people. No matter what color you are, I love people. So I told my mom I didn't like it, I wasn't having fun in the program, and I didn't want to go back. So I stopped going, and all of these years went by, and I walked around, and I was really beating myself up because I didn't stick with it. So when I was 37 years old, I called John Casablanca, and I told them that I had modeling experience, and I wanted to come in for an interview to see if they could use me. So I scheduled the interview, and I went in for the appointment, and I signed with John Casablanca that day. I was 37 years old when I signed with them. And so in 2011, I decided that I wanted to become an independent model and represent myself. So I established my own modeling company, Samantha's Modeling, and I became an independent model. At 22 years old, I was a wife and a mother. So I had a responsibility to my family where I couldn't go off in the world chasing my dreams and going after things that I wanted to do because I was a mother. And basically, I put off my modeling career for 20 years until my kids were old enough for me to actively pursue it. So I started actively pursuing my modeling career 6 years ago. And within 6 years, I became an international top model. I'm so grateful to my mother because she believes in me. She always encouraged me to believe in myself and to love myself and not to give up. You know, she said, if there's something in life that you want, you go after it. You gotta at least try, because if you don't try, you'll never know what could have come out of it if you would have just gave it a try. So I'm so grateful to her for being my #1 fan and believing in me. When I sat my mom and my children down 6 years ago and I told them about what I was thinking about doing, my kids were like, Mommy, go, do it. You know, do it. We're fine. We can, you know, we can take care of each other, look out for each other. You go and you do what you want to do. So I was selected to represent the USA in the International Worldwide Top Model Search in London, and I just completed that competition last month. And so now I feel complete. I feel like I've done what I set out to do in this life. So if I didn't wake up tomorrow, it would be totally okay because I'm a top model. So what I want you to take away from the time that I spend with you today is, #1, love yourself. Love yourself, believe in yourself, and never give up. If there's something that you want really bad in this life, you go after it. No matter what it is, no matter how crazy you think it is, you gotta at least give it a try. Because we only have one life, and sometimes opportunities don't come back again. So whatever it is that you can't shake off, that one thing, you just gotta give it a try. My mom had took really ill when I was in like maybe a junior in high school, and it was like the scariest time of my life. And she just recently celebrated her 85th birthday. And so I'm so blessed because I wanted all my dreams to come true, but I wanted my mother to be alive and well to share it with me. And so God has allowed that to happen. And I think out of everything, that's my greatest gift, That's the best thing that has happened. So whatever you do, don't give up. Keep chasing your dreams. You know, if you try something, it doesn't work out, go back to your pad. Keep writing those notes, scratching things off, and trying it again. If the first plan doesn't work, try plan B. If you keep at it, something's bound to happen. There's no way I would be where I am today if I gave up, or if I just threw in the towel and walked away and said, oh, it's too late, I'm too old. I'm 43 years old, but I didn't give up. And so if you keep striving, it's bound to happen for you. So at this point, I'm going to turn it over to Carrie, and I would like for her to spend some time sharing her story with us, and then after, we'll open it up for you all to ask questions. Sound good? Awesome. Thank you so much for being here today.
Well, thank you, Samantha. It's very generous of you to share your time, and thank you for your thoughts. I love hearing people who have pursued their dreams and who have followed things and it's come to pass. We have a lot of time here today, and we're a small enough group. I'm interested in knowing what you are hoping to get out of today. Does anyone have any desires or things that you're coming to this session with? What drew you? You saw this session name? Yeah.
Thank you. I'm here because I feel like I've had a spiritual deficit in my life, and so I'm really would love to find out more information on faith and how that has moved and changed people's lives, because I feel somewhat I have spiritual envy.
Okay. Spiritual envy. So faith and how it has changed people's lives. Great. Oh, you have a second one. Thank you so much. I see. Thank you so much. Any other hopes, or why have you come today? As we're talking about hope, right? Hope to know more about hope. I love that. Fantastic.
As she said, of course, I would also like to know that how hope and faith has changed lives for people.
Okay.
So that has inspired me to come to this session.
Okay, beautiful. Thank you. I think this is right in line with what I was planning to talk with you about. So I'm glad that that's what you're interested in receiving. So, okay. So I want you to imagine, if you can, a room about a third of the size of this. It's just white cinder block, and I'm sitting like right here, and I'm surrounded by about 12 men on parole. Kind of big men, right? In the corner, there's this camera. It's got a blinking light, security light. I have a panic button on my keys, and I'm sitting in this room, and I'm getting just yelled at. And I'm going to call him Tyrone. It's not his real name. I wasn't really afraid, though, because I knew it wasn't really directed at me. Tyrone had been through the system over and over and over again, and he was angry, he was frustrated, he had been receiving a lot of injustice and racism, and he just felt beat down. And the more that I heard him talk about his life circumstances, the more that I realized he's not angry, that's not really the core of it, he's actually really depressed. And he's yelling at me because I represent the system. I'm his court-appointed therapist, right? So he's just, I'm getting the direction of it, but I wasn't in danger. So I would kind of try to break through with Tyrone and work with him a little bit at a time. And soon he started opening up a little bit. He talked about how he had been involved in crime, how he had had poverty in his life, and this was the trajectory of his family. It was a pattern over and over and over and over again in his family. And a lot of his family members had taken their own lives, and he felt like he was on that same track, and he was feeling hopeless and just scared and beat down. We gave him a depression inventory, and he was like off the scales. And the more that we worked together, I started recognizing that he had a talent for art, right? And he was kind of very creative, and he had all of these strengths that hadn't been recognized. And as he started tapping into that, and we started connecting with community resources and things like that, he started to realize, like, maybe I do have a chance to succeed here. Maybe I can break this cycle that I've seen in my family. And he started to thrive. And it was so beautiful to see him start to come out of this anger, and that started to dissipate. And he was like a different person by the time we finished working together. And So I was really confident in his moving forward and stepping out beyond parole. Now, for every Tyrone, there are so many that go through the justice system that continue to cycle through, that just have recidivism and relapse. And as I've talked to them, some of it is life is hard. Sometimes life is hard. And they'll get out on, and prison is kind of like, I know how to do prison. I've done it over and over and over again. I don't really like it, but I know how to do it and I'm comfortable. So they call it a case of the efforts. I hope that's okay to say here. And they would just get to a point where they're like, I don't want to do this anymore. And they would go out and use, and they'd end up back in jail. And it would just be an escape. And the sad thing about that is that there is so much potential in every single one of those people. And they don't have to do that pattern. So I want to talk a little bit about some research. Poverty and clinical depression go hand in hand. And when I talk with you today, I'm going to talk about some extreme cases, but hopefully you can find some application in your own life, maybe on a lesser degree. Maybe your life is an extreme case. I don't have the chance to actually sit with each of you and find out what's going on. But so there was a 2010 Urban Institute study. And it said that and I'm going to talk about America because that's where I'm from, but the statistics are all over the world. So this study said 55% of American babies are born into poverty, and they're raised by mothers that show symptoms of mild or moderate depression. So poverty, clinical depression, they go really hand in hand. That impacts a lot of things, ability to attach, all of that. A 2012 Gallup poll said that 31% of people in poverty are diagnosed with clinical depression. That's compared to 16% of general population in America. So poverty, especially when you're feeling hopelessness and you're feeling stress, that creates a release of a hormone called cortisol in your prefrontal cortex. And that causes like an impairment in decision-making, judgment, creates impulse control problems. And so that's a big reason why you see, especially people who are coming out of prison and they're facing all of these obstacles against them, return again and again and again, because they'll just get to that place and then they have control, but often they will escape through drugs or through other behaviors. So when you are poor, bad things regularly happen that you can't avoid and that you can't control. And especially when there's racism or prejudice involved, it's like layering on top of each other, and it just feels overwhelming sometimes for some people. So that aspect of being able to control your environment, feeling like you have control over your own life and mastery over your own life is really important. And that's a piece of hope, right? If you feel like you have that. I want to talk to you, there's a